can get started with this session. Good morning, everyone. This is Mandar Bhide from BComp. I am Android Study Jam facilitator for this year's Android Study Jams. Let's get started with what actually Android Study Jams are. These are sessions hosted by Google for learning Android development with Kotlin and then developing an app with it. So let's jump to the presentation. What is in it for all of us? Uh, what is Android Study Jams? I just told you. On completing these sessions, you will get a certificate from Google. And there is another exam by Google for Android certification in Kotlin that costs about $149, about 11,000 to 13,000 rupees. But if you complete the certification in Android Study Jam, you will get 80% reimbursement of the fee. So that will cost you less than 20% of total cost. And that certificate has a lot of value as it is directly from Google. And the third one, as you can read there, the chance to meet Google Play team. I mean, actually, the team that maintains the Play Store of Google. But for that, per campus, we have to develop an app. And if that app is really nice, then we get a chance to meet Google Play team. For this, you will need a Google developer account, which is public, and you will have to complete all the milestones in the Android Study Jam program. Let's get back to it in a few moments. Let me introduce myself once again. Myself, Mandar Bhide, Android expert at GDSC PVG COET for 2021 and Android Study Jam facilitator for 2021. I am full stack developer, like I develop websites, app, and backends. My interests for app development are Flutter and Android native with Java as well as Kotlin. In free time, I do freelancing in app development and I'm a data science enthusiast. You can contact me on the links given below for any query or any uh, guidance or advice. So these are the perks I mentioned. For that, you will need to go on Google Developer. You will need a Google Developer profile and complete all the tracks. Like there are Google Cloud tracks. Similarly, Android Study Jams has a track, but it is a single track and you have to complete it all to get a certificate. For that, you need to learn Kotlin, right? Many of you may not be very familiar with Kotlin. Uh, is there anyone over here who is familiar with Kotlin? Please put yes in the chat or just no if you don't know anything about Kotlin. Okay, heard about it. Okay, most of you don't know about Kotlin, so that's good. We can start from the scratch. Let's get started with the Kotlin part of that because that's the core of everything. First up, you can see a code on the screen, which is 221333. Please join on that code on Slido so that we can conduct a poll. Okay, thank you. The link is in the chat. I hope you're all able to access that. Okay, we are already getting answers. Just put your answers over there. Let us know what is your favorite language, or if you don't have any favorite language, just put in the language you are good with. I mean, you are comfortable with. Mm, okay. Yes, many people Python, Java, C++, nice. Okay. JS, yes, the answer I was waiting for. Okay, someone has put Kotlin also, nice. Okay, so let's move forward to what is exactly Kotlin. Kotlin was developed by JetBrains, the team behind PyCharm and IntelliJ IDEs. Uh, just a moment. If anybody has any doubt, just raise it in the chat or just unmute yourself and interrupt me. There is no issue in interrupting me. Okay? Okay, so let's get back to the topic. Kotlin is expressive and statically typed. Let's see what is expressive. Expressive means you can actually see just by reading the code that what the code is doing. Suppose there are language like assembly language which are not at all expressive. You cannot tell what the code is doing without actually going through line by line. But then there are languages like Python, JS, or Kotlin which actually tell us what the code is doing just by looking at the code. Then there is statically typed means the types of data that is, suppose there is an integer, it is statically typed means it is decided at compile time. There are languages like Python which are not statically typed, the types are decided at runtime, but Kotlin is statically typed, which gives it lesser null value errors or invalid value errors. Kotlin is mainly used for Android development and now it is official language for Android development. So if you are an Android developer, you have to know Kotlin. As I told you, the team behind it is JetBrains and it is free open source so anyone can use it for development and more than 5 million developers use it. So you will get very nice support on how to use that language. So in today's session, we will cover these points, the anatomy of a Kotlin program, that is how a Kotlin program looks like and how it runs. Then the general variables in Kotlin, the conditional statements, the loop structures, like how to iterate over list, etc. And the functions, how to define functions in Kotlin. Mm, okay, for today's session, we will be using this Kotlin playground. I will put the link in chat so that you all will be able to access it and code along with me as we move forward so that you can try the code itself. It is free online Kotlin compiler by the Kotlin team itself, so there is no issue using it. I hope the link is working, that Kotlin link. Okay, nice. Okay, so let's move forward with the Kotlin itself. Okay, so you can see there is some function main in your, if you have opened the editor, there is some function main. What is this main function? Suppose let's remove this main function and type some fun ABC and try to run the program. Okay. The error itself tells what main function is. So every Kotlin file must have a main function so that the interpreter or whatever the compiler it is, it had some starting point. The execution starts in the main. So every Kotlin program must have a main function in it. Without main function, you cannot run a Kotlin program. So let's start with our generic hello world. This is the syntax for printing a line in Kotlin. To those who have used Java, they will know what we do in Java for that system.out.println. This line over here is Java syntax for what Kotlin does in this. So now you will see why Kotlin is better than Java. Okay, let's do a quick kind of exercise over here. I have wrote some code on the screen. You have to guess its output. And just put the output in the chat so that, and I have slightly changed the function, so take care before answering. Okay, yes, nice. So now you see the difference between a print and a println. If these both functions were println, that would be another different output. Most of you people have answered it right, that hello world on the same line. Okay. So now let's start with some variables. So in Kotlin, you can declare variables with either var keyword or val keyword. Let's see the difference between them. Suppose we say variable with var equal to some abc, and this one variable with val equal to some abc. So now if I try to assign the value again, variable with var, oh, this code will work. Definitely it will work, as there is no any issues with it. These are some warnings that it is never used, etc. But suppose now I try, uh, let's just print it over here, variable with var. We have changed its value, so it has to print def, and it pretty much does. But now if I change it to val, let us see what happens actually. Okay, so from the error you can imagine that the values declared with val keyword are immutable. That is, you cannot reassign their values. But those with var, you can change their values anytime you want. Okay. And there is another catch in this. If I just declare variable var some var and then assign its value some var equal to abc, even this is not allowed. You have to define its type over here so that there is no issues with type later on. So you cannot, after this, you cannot do somewhere equal to 3. This will not work as we have defined its type as string. By the way, this is the syntax for defining variable like we do in C++ or Java. Over there, it is string somewhere, but over here, it is var somewhere, then its type. So if we run this, This code actually works. These are warnings that we can actually ignore. I hope you understood the difference between var, val, and declaring a variable. If you have any doubt, uh, put it in the chat or just put understood in the chat. Rutvij, what errors are you getting? Okay, Rutvij, you have done it with you have declared it multiple times, probably. First is variable with var and another is a variable with val. Or you haven't declared it at all
So I
consciously.
just declared it multiple times.
Okay. You cannot declare it multiple times, it will give error because that's how the compiler works. That's not topic of today. Okay, so many of you have understood it. Let's move forward. Okay, so just another Slido quiz. You can access on the same link that it is and it is active right now. Just vote for whatever the accurate statement you think it is out of all these. Okay, just don't vote for it for another saying it. Just put whatever you think is right. Majority can be wrong at times also. Okay, most of you have, okay, 36 people have voted so far, and how many participants do we have? Okay, 62. Let's wait a minute more. Okay, so majority answer is right this time that value of var can be changed anytime. So those who have voted for B, C, or D, just remember that var can be changed anytime. Val cannot be changed afterwards once it is assigned. And so obviously third option goes wrong. Option A is right that only var can be changed anytime. Okay, so let's get back to our code part. So here I declare it as a string, but there are other types available like there is int for integer and then there is float. Oh, sorry. There is float, then there is char for single character. Then there are double, like for really big number, and some other advanced types like byte, etc. We won't be using it here, but we will use it in the app while working with an Android app. Okay, so now let's move to comparing two variables. Suppose we have val, okay, let's name it val1 equal to 3 and val. These are the operators available in Kotlin, that is equal to operator like in C++ or Python. Then there is 3 greater than 5, 3 less than, oh sorry, my bad, val1 greater than val2. Okay, so you can pretty much guess what output will be. They are not equal, first is not greater than second, and so on. Then there is not equal to operator, just like C, C++ or Java. That has to print true. These are arithmetic operators, and actually, since this is var, we cannot actually increment it. So let's change it to var. var1 plus plus. So it will add 1 to the output. And okay, so this is post increment. It won't work that way. Sorry. As you can see, this is in post increment operator. So that didn't work because it was printing first, then incrementing. There is another pre-increment operator which increments first, then prints it, but that's not matter today. Similarly, there is minus minus operator which decrements it by 1. Then there is normal plus equal to 2. This operator adds 2 to it and saves it to var1. So it has to print 5 now. Okay. Similarly, there is minus equal to, into equal to, or by equal to, and also mod equal to. You know modulus operator, right? That carries out the division and then saves the remainder. Apart from these, there are some logical operators. Suppose, let's say suppose we are making an Android app and we have an authenticated user. We have just authenticated user, so this is true. And we need to check if account already exists. If account doesn't exist, we have to create one, right? Oh, sorry, typo. Now let's move to logical operators, which are println. So this is logical and in Kotlin. Let's just copy paste this line, and this is logical or, and there is logical not also, which takes in just one variable. So this should print true and false, that is false, true or false, that is true, and then invert this variable, that is change it. Okay, so this has to be var. Okay, so as you can see, it has printed correct outputs for all the variables over here and all the expressions. So now you know how the logical expressions are created in Kotlin. I hope you understood it. If anyone has doubt, just raise it in the chat or just put okay or something like that so that I will know you understood the part. Okay, nice. Okay, let's move to the next part. So now we have logical statements, but now we need to test. We not just need to test them. We need to take some action on it, right? So we need some conditional statement. So let's look at the conditional statement is authenticated. So now this is true, so it will print authenticated, but if we make it false, it will not print anything. So now it is false. So we need to do something for that, right? So for that there is else block. Let's just copy that line and make it not authenticated. Okay. So now is authenticated is false. So the control should go to else part, right? And it should print not authenticated. Okay. But now you can even if you miss these braces when there is single line over here, that too works. I mean, that's clear Python syntax, but it works. But if there are more than one lines to be executed, then only first line will be executed. And suppose I put some println test. Even if I indent this line, it doesn't matter. That will not be considered in if else part and it will give an error. But if we have only one line to execute after if or else, we can just put it without braces and it works nicely. Now this is just uh, if or else. So let's make it some variable value like 2 authenticated equal to 0. And then we can put as many else if over here as based on our need, and then final else for println error. So this one has to print error. Okay. So these are conditional statements, but Kotlin provides another conditional statement, that is when. Let's first take a variable num equal to 3. Okay. And we can put it like this: when num 3 num is 3, then let's just make it in nice order. For 2 num is 2, and final else part that is none. Okay, so this produce some error. Okay, so you can see the syntax over here. Those who have done C++ or Java, they there we have a switch case, right? We do switch from num and then we do case one, sorry, case one, case two, etc. Okay. So just like that, in Kotlin there is when. Now if we want to check for even or odd, let's do num mod 2, and if num mod 2 is 0, we print even, and else we print odd. That's general logic for even odd. So now num is 3, so it has to print odd. Okay, and if we make it 2, it will print even. So this is how the switch statement works. Whatever value you want to check, put it in here and then put the cases. It supports even in operators, as we will see afterwards in the loops or list. And let's see another part. Another variant of this is int, and not int. Okay, so let's keep it like this. Okay, so is operator tests the type of that variable. So now num is integer 2, so it is printing int. So now if you make it 2.5, okay, incompatible types int and double. Oh, okay, it is not comparing in between these two, so that's producing an error. But okay, so this this is producing error at it. The comparison is not possible, but it's not going to else. Okay, I'll look into this and tell it afterwards. Let's just move on to next part. So now we have done with conditional. So now let's go for loops. Suppose you have to do same task for say 10 times. In C++, Java, we have for, while, and do while loop. Similarly, in Kotlin, we have for and while loop. This is a 10. This is syntax for C++ or Java function. Similarly, Kotlin has I in 1 to 10. Here also, if you have only one line to execute, you can just drop the curly braces. But if there are more than one, you have to put the curly braces also. Let's run this code. It prints all from 1 to 10. Now suppose I had to do it 10 to 1. Then I would do this 10 down to 1. It prints in descending order. Suppose I want to print alternate numbers. Then I would do step 2. It will do 10, 8, 6, 4, 8. Similarly, it will do in this case also like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So this is the syntax. You can note it down somewhere so that that will be reference for you afterwards. Now suppose we have a list, say var list equal to list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now many of you voted for Python for their favorite language. Let me tell you, as we do in Python for I in list, it works nice in Kotlin. This will print all the list items. The forward loop is done, reverse loop is done. Okay. Also, uh, we are done with loops and increment decrement part. Now just put in the chat. What would you do to print mm, all the even numbers between 5 and 20? Just put it in the chat. What will you use? Like, just put this highlighted part. What would you do to print even numbers between 5 and 25? Uh, okay, you understood. Only even numbers. So this one takes both loop structure also, and if you want to use the conditionals. Okay, for iMode 2. Okay, Tejas Khamkar, you have put a code in it. Just go to play.kotlin.org and try to run that code. It will be fun actually. Shivam Kurade, that is not syntax in Kotlin. That's C++ or Java syntax. It doesn't work in Kotlin. Okay, Ishan put it right for I in 5 to 25 if I am not equal to 0. Okay, nice. Samir, Mahak, and then, okay, Prachi Joshi. Good one. Okay, so you guys understood the loop structures in the Kotlin, right? So similarly, there are sequences in Kotlin. Like here we created a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do generate sequence or just sequence of. Let's take this part of code like a Redis snippet. So this is how you generate a sequence. Take the generate sequence function and this will I just like there is C this in C++, there is it in Kotlin, which stands for iterator. So if iterator is less than 10, it will keep incrementing, else it will print null. So let's just cut this part first and see what this one does. Okay, so this one prints all the numbers. But if we do like text 3, that will print just 1, 3, and 5. If we make it 4, it will print another number from that. So sequence.take can be used to create a sequence out of the sequence so that we take only the number of required elements in the sequence. So what is the difference between sequence and the list we saw earlier? Suppose we are doing some transformation on that, like there is ors dot if we use map function. So in this function, we are doing something for each element. Okay. If it is a ors is a let's get rid of this code so that it doesn't create confusion. If this is a list and we use some such function, then for each element, suppose we do element equal to element plus 1 and then do print ln element. Okay. So if this is list, what happens is first it completes execution for all the elements of list, like let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Just take note that this is not declaration of array. I repeat, this is not declaration of array. I'm just making it for understanding purpose. Okay, so what it will do, if this is list, then it will do this part for 1, then do this same part for 2, 3, 4, 5. It will complete one line for all the elements, then it will move to the next line. We won't see difference right now, but suppose you are loading some list in your app, which has to be loaded. I mean, the element has to load as soon as its request has been completed. Like then otherwise the app will keep loading, and suddenly put on all the elements. We don't need to do that. So uh, the list is not very useful over here. But if this is sequence, what sequence does is it completes this execution for 1, then it goes to 2, completes this part for 2, then goes to 3. I hope you understood the difference between what list does and what sequence does. If any doubt, just put it in the chat, or if you have understood, uh, just put understood in the chat so that I know. Okay, I will repeat. Uh, if ors is a list element, then each line in such functions is executed one by one for all elements, then the compiler goes to next line. But if it is a sequence, the entire code part is uh, executed for one element, then the iterator goes to the next element. I hope it's clear now. Mm, okay. So now let's move on to the functions in here. This is main function. As we all know, it can take command line arguments, but right now we are on online editor, so we don't have command line. But let's define, this is a keyword used to define function, just like there is def in Python, here it is fun. They want to say Kotlin is fun. Okay. Um, function. So we have defined the function. Now we will call it. So the control went to this function, did its job, and came back. So now if we want to pass something like hello name, sorry. If we want to pass parameter, we have to do it like this. And we can address that over here like this. I hope this syntax is right. Put my name over here. Okay, so if I changed this one to say John. Okay, so now you can see what's happening over here. So this is how you define parameter to a function. It can be anything if you want. Let's say from another string and do it like. Okay, so you can see what's happening over here. You can address these string elements over here using dollar. So now suppose if we are adding two numbers, let's forget this function num1 int and num2 int. We can just return a value like num1 plus num2. And if we call that function, it will work, nicely work. 2 and 3, let's say. So we have to print it, right? Unit was expected. So you can see what happened over here. So we have, if we do not declare its return type, it is by default, it is unit, like the default class of Kotlin. But now we want to define the return type of this. So we will do it like this, integer. This will nicely print the answer to this addition. If we change it, it will run. Okay. So see the syntax over here. In C++ or Java, it would be int add like that. But in Kotlin, we have the syntax like this. First the fun keyword, then the function name, then in bracket all the parameters with their types, and afterwards the return type. I hope this part is clear. Okay, so let's move. I hope you enjoyed whatever we learned today. It's 11:55, so let's move to Q&A part of this session. Like, if you have any doubts regarding the Kotlin language or the Android Study Jam program, you can simply unmute yourself or put it in the chat.
Guys, you can unmute yourself and ask any questions.
Or just put in the chat that you have no questions, like no, just no questions or no doubts. Okay, there are no doubts, I guess.
Okay, then if there are no questions and doubts, so I guess we can conclude the session. Thank you, Mother, for such a wonderful session, and we'll meet in the second session of Android Study Jam soon. So thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, you will be notified about the next session in the group. So stay in touch with the group. And if you have any doubt anytime, you can put it on the group itself.
Yeah.
Thank you. My contact
Shivam.
is on group, I guess.
And please don't ask doubts on personal. We request you that you can put any of your doubts or queries on the group itself.
Yeah, so that if anyone else has the same query, it will be answered. Otherwise, we will be overwhelmed with the uh, individual queries.